Introduce Ella, a wealthy, independent woman in New York. She meets Ryan, who appears to be a struggling artist at a charity gala. Initial chemistry sparks. Ryan impresses her with sincerity, not charm. Hint at Ryan's secret life, but nothing is revealed yet. Ella and Ryan begin dating. Romantic NYC settings, coffee shops, Central Park, rooftop dinners. Ryan's humble lifestyle contrasts Ella's affluent world, creating both tension and fascination. Ella starts to feel a deeper emotional connection than she's felt before. Ella's family questions Ryan's background and doubts his intentions. Ryan struggles with guilt about hiding his wealth. Minor misunderstandings arise. Ryan helps a friend in secret, and Ella misunderstands it as deception. Ryan's world starts to collide with Ella's. He saves her from a business crisis, revealing unexpected resources, causing suspicion. Tension mounts. Will Ella discover his secret? Ella discovers Ryan's true identity. He's actually a successful entrepreneur. Emotional confrontation. Ella feels betrayed, questioning their love. Ryan explains he pretended to be poor to find someone who loved him for him, not his money. Ella struggles with trust, friendship, and love. Ryan proves his sincerity through actions, not words. Scenes of introspection. Ella visits places where they shared memories, realizing love transcends material wealth. Romantic gestures. Ryan recreates their first date, but upgraded with thoughtfulness, not extravagance. Emotional breakthrough. Ella admits her love outweighs the betrayal. Side conflicts resolved. Ella's family comes around, accepting Ryan. The first week after the gala was a blur of laughter, late-night coffee runs, and endless walks through the streets of Manhattan. Ella couldn't remember the last time she had felt so alive. There was something about Ryan that drew her in, not because of what he had, or seemed not to have, but because of who he was. He didn't care about the glitzy parties, the expensive cars, or the brand names she often lived surrounded by. Instead, he noticed the little things, how she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was deep in thought, the way she would linger in bookstores, thumbing through novels even if she already owned 10 copies at home. One chilly afternoon, they found themselves at Washington Square Park, sipping coffee from a tiny cafe Ryan claimed was authentic. He laughed when Ella wrinkled her nose at the paper cup. You know, in most places, coffee this bad would be considered a crime, she teased, blowing on the hot liquid. Ryan grinned, his eyes crinkling in a way that made her stomach flutter. It's not the coffee. It's the company that makes it perfect. Ella felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had expected charm, maybe flattery, but not this effortless sincerity. She laughed, shaking her head. You always know what to say, don't you? Not always, he admitted. But I try. Days turned into weeks. Ryan became a regular part of her life. They explored hidden art galleries in Soho, debated over pizza slices in tiny corner joints, and discovered quirky little jazz bars that seemed frozen in time. Ella noticed how he treated everyone, with genuine kindness. The waitress at the corner diner who forgot his order? Ryan smiled and joked, making her laugh instead of scolding her. The cab driver who got lost? Ryan thanked him, tipped generously, and even helped navigate the streets. It was a stark contrast to her usual circle of wealthy acquaintances, who often measured people by what they owned, not who they were. And that contrast made Ryan even more magnetic. One evening, after a long walk along the Brooklyn Bridge, Ryan stopped, staring at the skyline. The lights reflected in the East River, flickering like distant stars. He turned to Ella, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I feel like I've known you forever, he said softly. And yet, every day, I discover something new about you. Ella felt her heartbeat quicken. There was something so earnest in his words that it left her both thrilled and vulnerable. She had been in relationships before, of course, but none had ever felt like this, none had made her feel seen. Truly seen. Ryan, she started, unsure of how to continue. I think I've been waiting for someone like you without even realizing it. He smiled, a slow, steady grin that made her knees feel weak. Then maybe the universe is finally catching up. But life, as always, had its complications. Ryan's humble lifestyle was not just a quirky choice, it was an intentional part of a secret he had yet to reveal. Ella had no idea that the man she was falling for was not as penniless as he appeared. And as much as Ryan wanted to tell her the truth, the thought terrified him. Would she see him differently? Would this fragile bond crumble under the weight of deception? For now, they were lost in the simplicity of their days together. Ella had never felt so comfortable sharing her thoughts with someone. She told Ryan about the pressures of her family's expectations, the constant scrutiny, and the loneliness that often accompanied wealth. He listened, never judging, offering only compassion and understanding. "You shouldn't carry it all alone," he said one night as they sat on the rooftop of her apartment building, the city sprawled beneath them like a glittering blanket. "People care, Ella. You just have to let them." "I don't know how," she admitted, leaning against him. "I'm used to doing everything on my own." "That's why you need someone like me," he whispered, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. "Someone who doesn't care about the money, the name, or the status. Just, you." Her heart swelled. In that moment, surrounded by the hum of the city, she realized she was falling hard, for this man who seemed to live in a different world than hers, yet somehow understood her better than anyone ever had. Their bond deepened in subtle ways. Ryan would leave little notes in her hand. "Smile today. Someone believes in you." Or text her during meetings with a simple, "thinking of you." It wasn't flashy or over the top, it was perfectly sincere, and it touched her more than she expected. And yet, amidst all the happiness, a small seed of doubt lingered in the back of her mind. Something about Ryan seemed almost too good to be true. She caught herself wondering how someone could be so kind, so attentive, without hidden motives. But every time she voiced a suspicion, it melted away under the warmth of his eyes, the gentle way he reached for her hand. By the end of the second month, it was undeniable, Ella's heart belonged to Ryan. And although she didn't yet know the truth of who he was, a part of her sensed that this was real, deeper than any wealth, any pretense. One rainy Saturday, as they shared a tiny umbrella on the crowded streets of Soho, Ryan looked down at her, eyes serious for the first time in weeks. "Ella, no matter what happens, I promise you this, I will never play with your heart. You have my word." She looked up at him, rain-soaked hair plastered to her face, and smiled. "I believe you, Ryan. I really do." And in that moment, beneath the gray sky and city lights, their connection cemented itself, a bond forged not by luxury or appearances, but by authenticity, laughter, and the quiet moments that mattered most. Little did they know, the coming months would test that trust in ways neither could imagine, pushing their love to the limits and forcing them to confront the truths they had both been avoiding. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of romance, but cracks were starting to form, small ones, subtle but undeniable. Ella's family had always been protective, especially when it came to her love life. Her parents had high expectations. Anyone who wanted her hand in romance, or more importantly, marriage, had to meet certain standards. Ryan, by all appearances, did not. It started innocently enough. At a Sunday brunch at her parents' Upper East Side apartment, her father eyed Ryan suspiciously as he sipped a modest cappuccino. "So, Ryan," he began, voice formal, "tell us, what exactly do you do for a living?" Ryan smiled, unflustered. "I'm an artist, sir. I paint, sometimes sell my work at galleries. It's modest, but I love it." Her mother raised an eyebrow. "Modest? You live in Manhattan, surely you must have a more stable income than that." Ryan shrugged, a casual gesture that only made him seem more ordinary, more humble. "I get by. That's all that matters, right?" Ella felt a twinge of unease. Her parents exchanged glances, clearly skeptical. She knew they were worried, but their judgment felt suffocating. And yet, when she looked at Ryan, he seemed completely calm, completely himself. After brunch, as they walked through Central Park, Ella voiced what had been gnawing at her all morning. "Ryan, my parents, they don't believe in you," she admitted softly. He took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Ella, I don't need them to. I just need you." She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust the man she had fallen for, but doubt crept in like a shadow. Could someone who seemed so perfect really exist without hidden motives? Then came the misunderstandings. One evening, Ryan received a text from a friend asking for help, financial help. He had promised to assist discreetly, knowing it would never reach Ella's ears. But fate has a way of interfering. Ella happened to glance at his phone when he stepped away to grab their takeout order. A notification popped up. "Transfer completed. You're a lifesaver. Can't thank you enough." Her heart sank. Her mind raced. Ryan had said he was struggling financially, yet here he was sending money? When he returned, she confronted him, hurt and confused. "Ryan, what's this?" she asked, her voice trembling. He frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "The money. You said you were barely getting by, but now," she waved the phone. "You're helping someone financially?" Ryan sighed, realizing she had seen the notification. "Ella, I can explain." But she interrupted, tears welling in her eyes. "No. I don't even know who you are anymore. Maybe I was just fooled into thinking I did." Ryan's heart clenched. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "I never wanted to lie to you," he said gently. I wanted you to love me for me. Not for what I have, not for my bank account, not for the life I could give you. Just me." Ella looked at him, torn. His eyes were sincere, painfully so. But the seed of doubt had already been planted, and it wasn't easy to uproot. To make matters worse, social media was relentless. Ryan had always been private, but a mutual friend had shared a photo of him in a luxury penthouse, laughing with influential people at a charity gala. The post went viral among their circle, and whispers started, "Wait, isn't Ryan supposed to be struggling? How can he hang out with billionaires?" Ella stumbled upon it one evening while scrolling through her feed, feeling blindsided and betrayed. Her chest tightened. How many versions of him were there? Which one had been real? Ryan noticed her silence at dinner that night. "Ella, talk to me," he urged. She couldn't hold it in any longer. "I saw the photos, Ryan. And now? I just don't know what to believe. Who are you?" Ryan took a deep breath, steadying himself. The truth was terrifying, but he knew he couldn't let her drift away because of assumptions. "I'm the same person you've been falling for," he said, voice low. "Everything you've seen, every photo, every rumor, it's just a world I exist in but don't live in. I wanted to meet you, Ella. Not the person who judges me for my wealth or status. I wanted real love, the kind that doesn't care about money, houses, or appearances." Ella stared at him, conflicted. The hurt, the confusion, the longing, all warred inside her. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust the man who had captured her heart, but the walls she had built around herself made it nearly impossible. For days, she withdrew, avoiding calls and texts. Ryan respected her space, leaving thoughtful notes at her apartment. "I love you, Ella. I'm not perfect, but I'm yours." The tension reached its peak when Ella's younger brother confronted her. "Ella, seriously, do you even know him?" he asked, bluntly. "He seems shady. Why are you letting him manipulate you?" Her instinct was to defend Ryan, but the words faltered on her lips. How could she explain that the man who seemed humble, ordinary, and loving was actually more? And yet, that wasn't why she loved him. That wasn't why her heart ached for him when he wasn't around. It was the honesty he showed her, the patience, the way he made her feel safe and seen. But for now, misunderstandings had cast a shadow over their relationship. The bond they had been building, careful, tender, and genuine, was being tested. And Ryan knew that unless he revealed the truth soon, he risked losing the only woman who had ever made him want to open his heart completely. One rainy night, standing outside her apartment, he whispered into the storm. "Ella, please. Give me a chance to prove that love isn't about money. That it's about us. That's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted." She didn't answer, only stared at him, the rain soaking them both. Their eyes locked, and in that silent moment, the future of their love hung in the balance. The following weeks were a mixture of stolen glances, whispered apologies, and careful distance. Ella couldn't deny that her feelings for Ryan were still there, buried beneath hurt and doubt. But every time she tried to confront him, she felt paralyzed, unsure if she wanted the truth or feared it. Ryan, on the other hand, was quietly desperate. He couldn't bear the thought of losing her, not when she was the first person who had ever seen him, not his wealth, not his name, not his reputation, but him. Every laugh they had shared, every late-night walk through the city, every moment of unguarded joy mattered more than anything else. It started with small hints, small glimpses of the life he had tried so hard to hide. One evening, Ella invited him to dinner at her apartment. She had cooked, a rare act of domesticity that left Ryan both charmed and impressed. As they sat across from each other, she noticed a flash of confidence in him as he handled a phone call. "Is everything okay?" she asked, curious. Ryan smiled, brushing it off. "Just a friend calling. Nothing important." But it wasn't nothing. Ella caught a brief glimpse of his name in the caller ID, Ryan Chambers, CEO. Her heart skipped a beat. She decided not to mention it immediately, afraid of what it could mean. The next morning, as they walked through Chelsea Market, Ryan's phone buzzed again. This time, she noticed an email notification, "Board meeting rescheduled. Please confirm attendance." Ella's mind raced. Board meetings? Attendance confirmations? This wasn't the life of a struggling artist, it was the life of someone else entirely. She tried to push the thoughts aside, telling herself that maybe he had side projects, maybe he had investments, maybe it didn't matter. But her intuition whispered otherwise. Something about the ease with which he navigated these other worlds felt deliberate, controlled, and hidden. The tipping point came 2 weeks later. Ryan had invited her to an art gala in the Upper West Side, a genuine exhibit of emerging artists. As they entered, she noticed people greeting him with respect, even reverence. A few whispered among themselves, giving him nods that felt more like recognition than casual greetings. Ella felt a twinge of unease. "Ryan, who are all these people?" she asked quietly as they moved through the crowd. He smiled, a little too casually. "Friends. People I know from the art world. Some collectors, some mentors. It's complicated." Complicated. That single word, spoken so lightly, made her stomach twist. There was more to him than he had let on. She could feel it in the way the attendees looked at him, the subtle respect in their voices. Later that evening, as they left the gallery and walked along the East River, the city lights shimmering on the water, Ella couldn't hold it in any longer. "Ryan, you're hiding something from me, aren't you?" she demanded, her voice trembling. He stopped, taking her hands in his. The warmth of his palms contrasted with the cold bite of the winter air. "Ella, I don't know how to say this without hurting you." Her heart pounded. "Try me. Please. I deserve the truth." Ryan took a deep breath. "I'm not just an artist. I'm more than the life I've shown you. I have resources, opportunities, connections, things I've chosen not to reveal because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not what I have. Ella stepped back, shock painted across her face. You, what? You lied to me? No, he said urgently. I didn't lie about who I am. I just left out pieces of my world. Because I wanted us, to be real. To be authentic. I wanted you to fall in love with me, not my wealth or status. Ella's mind spun. She had thought she knew him, had trusted him completely, and now it felt like the ground had shifted beneath her feet. She remembered the brunch with her parents, the notification on his phone, the whispers at the gallery. Everything suddenly made sense, and yet it hurt. I don't know if I can trust you, she whispered, tears threatening to fall. How am I supposed to know which version of you is real? He stepped closer, his voice gentle but firm. The version you fell in love with, the one who made you laugh, who listened to your fears, who cared for you without expectation, that's me. Always me. The rest is just the world I navigate, a world I chose to keep separate so it wouldn't change us. Ella's heart ached. Part of her wanted to run, to protect herself from further pain. But another part, the part that had felt alive, cherished, and understood, wanted to believe him. They walked in silence, the city around them alive with lights and sounds, yet a bubble of tension and uncertainty enclosed them. Over the next few days, Ella observed Ryan closely, trying to reconcile the man she knew with the man he had just revealed. She noticed the same gestures, the same small kindnesses, the same man who held doors for strangers, who remembered her favorite coffee order, who smiled at her quirks and flaws. And yet, the doubts lingered. How could someone live two lives so seamlessly? And more importantly, why hadn't he trusted her with the truth from the start? Ryan sensed the distance growing. One rainy evening, he showed up at her apartment with a small bouquet of tulips, her favorite, and a note, I can't lose you over what you haven't seen yet. Give me a chance to prove it's still us. That's all I want. Ella looked at the flowers, then at him, standing there drenched from the rain, vulnerability in his eyes. She sighed, a mix of frustration, longing, and love. Ryan, this isn't easy, she admitted. You can't just expect me to forget months of secrets and doubts. I know, he said softly. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to see the truth. The truth of who I am, with you. And in that moment, despite the storm outside and the storm inside her, Ella realized one thing: love, real love, was messy, complicated, and terrifying. But maybe it was worth it. Little did she know, the next revelation would challenge her trust like never before, forcing both of them to confront not just secrets, but the very nature of their feelings for each other. Ella didn't know what to expect when Ryan asked her to meet him at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The grandeur of the lobby, the marble floors, and the quiet hush of evening visitors seemed at odds with the tension coiling in her chest. When she arrived, Ryan was already there, leaning casually against the staircase, though the ease in his posture couldn't mask the nervous energy in his eyes. Ella, he said softly as she approached. Thank you for coming. She folded her arms, struggling to maintain composure. You said you wanted to tell me the truth. I'm listening. Ryan nodded, a deep exhale escaping him. I should have told you from the start. I was afraid you wouldn't see me for who I am, for the person you fell in love with. Ella's brow furrowed. And that person is. He gestured toward a side corridor, and as they walked, the lights flickered over a private collection of art, one she had never been allowed to see. Elegant paintings, sculptures, and photographs lined the walls, and security discreetly watched from a distance. This, he said, stopping in front of a small plaque, is part of my world. But not the world I wanted you to fall in love with. Ella's eyes widened. Ryan, this is incredible. But wait, whose? My own, he said, voice steady. I am Ryan Chambers. I own the gallery, the collection, and several businesses. The struggling artist you've been dating, that was me too, but only the part one wanted you to see. I pretended to live modestly because I wanted real love. Not love for my wealth, my name, or what I could give you. Just love for me. The words hit her like a physical force. She staggered back slightly, her mind racing. All the little inconsistencies, the whispers, the gallery events, the emails, everything clicked into place. You, what? She whispered, disbelief coating her voice. You're wealthy. You're everything you said you weren't. Yes, he admitted, stepping closer, his hand reaching for hers. And I didn't tell you because I wanted to be loved for who I am. Not for this. He gestured at the collection around them. I wanted us to exist without the shadows of money or status influencing it. Ella's mind spun. She had fallen for this man, this ordinary, kind, attentive man, thinking she was seeing the real him. And now, the real him was more. But more in a way that didn't diminish their bond, if anything, it magnified it. How could you hide this from me? She asked, hurt and awe mingling in her voice. Did you really think I'd care about money? Ryan's eyes softened. I didn't want to find out the hard way. I didn't want our first moments, our first laughter, our first love, to be influenced by anything else. I wanted to know if you'd love me, Ella. The truth, the wealth, the status, that's just a part of me. But the heart you fell for, that's me. Always me. Tears welled in her eyes, but she couldn't tell if they were from relief, anger, or joy. The betrayal stung, yes, but the sincerity in his voice made her heart ache in ways it hadn't before. And now? She asked, her voice shaking. Now that I know, does this change anything? Ryan smiled gently. It doesn't have to. It's still us. I'm still me. The same man who made you laugh, who listened to your fears, who held your hand when you needed it most. I'm still that man. Only now, the truth is out. Ella looked at him, searching for signs of deception, but there were none. Only the man she had grown to love, standing vulnerable, trusting her with his heart. She remembered the moments they had shared, the rooftop walks, the quiet coffees, the laughter, the small notes he had left. All of it had been real. He had never pretended in their connection. He had only hidden his resources because he feared they might overshadow the love they were building. She took a shaky breath and stepped closer. You scared me, Ryan. I felt betrayed. But I see now why you did it. Anne. I think. I understand. Ryan's hand brushed against hers, tentative, as if testing the waters. Do you? Ella nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Yes. I love you. The man I fell for, he's still here. I know it. And if anything, I love him even more for trusting me enough to finally tell the truth. Ryan's eyes glistened with emotion. Ella, you have no idea how much that means to me. He stepped closer, pulling her into an embrace that spoke louder than words. She buried her face in his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart, the warmth that had always drawn her in. I was so afraid, she whispered. Afraid this would ruin everything between us. Ryan kissed the top of her head, softly. Nothing could ever ruin us. Not the wealth, not the secrets, not the world outside. Only honesty, and we've found it. We're stronger now, because we know the truth. For the first time in months, Ella felt completely safe. Completely seen. Completely in love. They stood there in the quiet of the museum, surrounded by priceless art and history, yet nothing felt more precious than the connection they had forged, the bond that had survived secrets, misunderstandings, and doubt. As the evening drew to a close, Ryan held her hand and whispered, I don't need anyone else to understand our story. I only need you. Will you trust me, fully? Ella smiled through tears, her heart swelling. "I do. I trust you. Completely." And in that moment, amidst the echoing halls of the museum, they didn't just embrace the truth, they embraced each other. The storm of secrecy had passed, leaving only clarity, love, and a promise that no matter what came next, they would face it together. The following morning, Ella woke to the soft sunlight spilling through her apartment curtains, but the warmth of the light did little to chase away the swirl of thoughts in her mind. Ryan's revelation from last night replayed on loop. He had been honest. Completely. Yet, somehow, her heart still wrestled with fragments of doubt. She had always believed that love was about truth. And Ryan had finally given her that. But could love survive months of half-truths? Could she trust that his secrecy had been out of love and not manipulation? Ella poured herself a cup of coffee and sat by the window, staring at the bustling New York streets below. Every passerby seemed like a reminder that the world outside didn't care about their private dramas, yet in her chest, her world felt impossibly complicated. Her phone buzzed, a message from Ryan, "Thinking of you. I'll be at the park in an hour. Walk with me?" For a long moment, she hesitated. Her pride and lingering uncertainty urged her to ignore him. But love, stubborn and persistent, urged her to go. She arrived at Bryant Park, the crisp winter air nipping at her cheeks. Ryan was already there, leaning against the fountain, hands stuffed in the pockets of his coat. When he saw her, his face lit up, but not with arrogance, only relief. "Ella," he said softly as she approached. "Thank you for coming." She studied him, noticing the subtle tension in his posture. "I needed time," she admitted. "Time to process everything." He nodded, understanding. "I know. And I'll wait as long as it takes. But I want you to see something. Not as a display of wealth, not as a test, just as me, showing you I'm committed." Before she could respond, Ryan led her to a small, cozy coffee kiosk tucked behind the ice skating rink. He ordered 2 steaming drinks and then, with a shy smile, handed her a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" she asked. "Just something I made for you," he replied, avoiding her gaze. Curious, she opened it. It was a scrapbook, a simple, heartfelt collection of notes, photographs, and mementos from the past few months, the first coffee they shared, the note he had left in her bag, the napkin from the pizza place where they had argued playfully. Each page was annotated with small observations, memories, and reflections of her quirks and habits he had noticed and loved. Ella's eyes glistened. She flipped through the pages, recognizing not wealth or status, but thoughtfulness, care, and attention to detail, the very things that had drawn her to Ryan in the first place. "Ryan, this is amazing," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I wanted you to see the real me," he said. "Not the money, not the gallery, not the world I hide in. Just me. And I want to keep proving it to you every day. Not with grand gestures, but with the small things that matter." Her heart softened. Here was the man she had loved, the one who laughed with her, listened, and understood. The one who had chosen authenticity over appearance. For the next few days, Ella observed Ryan more closely, testing her own feelings and his commitment. They shared quiet mornings at the local farmers' market, spontaneous walks through Central Park, and evenings of cooking simple meals together. Each small act reaffirmed the connection they had built, independent of wealth or status. But doubt still lingered in the corners of her mind. She couldn't erase the memory of the hidden emails, the private galleries, the months of secrecy. Every time she saw him answer a phone call or receive a message, a flicker of suspicion stirred. One evening, while Ryan was out briefly, Ella sat on the couch, reflecting. She realized that love wasn't about perfection, it was about choosing to believe in someone despite imperfections and past mistakes. She thought about the man she had come to know, the man who had listened, laughed, and loved without condition, and the decision became clear. When Ryan returned, she greeted him with a tentative smile. "I want to trust you," she said. "Fully. But I need you to be patient." He dropped his coat and sat beside her, taking her hand gently. "Ella. I will wait. I'll do whatever it takes to earn that trust, every single day. I don't need you to rush. I just need you to know. I'm not going anywhere." The days that followed were a slow rebuilding of faith. Ryan didn't flaunt his wealth or remind her of his status. Instead, he focused on the small gestures that had first drawn her to him, the way he remembered her favorite songs, the notes he left for her, the time he took to simply be present. One Sunday morning, he surprised her with a handwritten letter. "Ella. I am not perfect. I made choices out of fear, not malice. But I promise you this, my heart, my intentions, and my love are real. I will spend every day proving it to you. Ryan." Ella read it twice, tears streaming down her face. For the first time since the revelation, she felt a deep, unwavering certainty. Love wasn't about hiding or revealing wealth, it was about honesty, care, and shared experiences. And Ryan had shown her all of that, in ways that mattered far more than money ever could. That night, as they sat together watching the skyline from her apartment rooftop, she leaned into him and whispered, "I believe in us, Ryan. I truly do." He wrapped his arms around her, holding her tightly. "And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt it." As the city lights twinkled beneath them, Ella realized that love, trust, and connection were stronger than any secret, any misunderstanding, any fear. And in that moment, she knew their bond had grown unshakable, not because it was easy, but because they had chosen to face the truths together.